Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
It's a decision that boils down to the high cost of water, and that could run up bills here in San Diego. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Today, Fallbrook and Rainbow were given the go-ahead to leave the San Diego County Water Authority. As KPBS North County reporter Alexander Wynn shows us, the vote came during an emotionally charged meeting.
5 in favor, 3 opposed. The motion passes.
Cheers erupted when the San Diego Local Agency Formation Commission voted to allow Fallbrook and Rainbow to detach from the 24-member San Diego County Water Authority. This boils down to the high cost of water. Fallbrook Public Utility District and Rainbow Municipal Water District want to buy cheaper water from a Riverside water wholesaler.
I'm not sure I'm going to be around next year.
For farmers in Fallbrook and Rainbow, it's a matter of survival. They say their water costs are too high, and that threatens their livelihoods. Nick Kernich is a fourth-generation avocado farmer.
I'm really hoping this will open up an opportunity for farmers to actually get fair water rates and get the relief that we need. As a farmer that's been very much impacted by these rate increases, having the conversation with my family about possibly selling our land, stopping farming.
Commissioners voted the way they did today to save the livelihoods of thousands of farmers in North County. They say people should be able to buy cheaper water elsewhere, and they say the relationship between the Water Authority and Rainbow and Fallbrook is an abusive one. Abusive, that's the term used over and over in today's meeting.
We're wanting what is legally our right to leave this toxic marriage.
I look at it as a child abuse case.
But Leticia Maldonado Stamos, a retired teacher, says it's not just farmers who are hurting. Working-class residents in Fallbrook and Rainbow are hurting too.
And that's important because a lot of our farm workers, that's their livelihood. So it goes hand in hand. But I think it's important that those people that are making these decisions see what this money represents.
Commissioner Stephen Whitburn, who voted no on detachment, says the detachment will only benefit residents of Rainbow and Fallbrook.
That it will hurt everyone else in San Diego County.
Last week, the Water Authority released a report saying detachment may cost ratepayers in the rest of the county nearly $200 million in the next decade.
We feel that the vote that was taken today is really a disservice to all of the different ratepayers in San Diego County and also to agriculture in San Diego County that's not in Fallbrook and Rainbow.
To offset the cost, commissioners approved an exit fee of roughly $25 million over the next 5 years. Voters in Rainbow and Fallbrook will still need to approve the detachment. Alexander Wynn, KPBS News.
A shakeup in the local media market. The Los Angeles Times has sold the San Diego Union Tribune to an affiliate of Media News Group. That's according to a memo sent to staff today, but that also announced there would be layoffs. The UT dates back to 1868. It was bought by Tribune Publishing in 2015 and sold along with the LA Times in 2018. Media News Group owns more than 100 newspapers across the country, including the OC Register. 3 UC San Diego student workers are in legal limbo tonight. They were supposed to be arraigned today on felony conspiracy and vandalism charges following their arrests in what they call retaliation by the university. KPBS education reporter MG Perez has the latest on this ongoing labor dispute.
Their message is loud and clear. These hundreds of UC San Diego academic workers, graduate students, and postdoctoral scholars are UAW union members, here to support 3 of their own.
On Thursday, June 29th, 2 Scripps colleagues and I were arrested just outside our homes by UCPD and jailed overnight on allegations of felony vandalism and conspiracy.
Postdoctoral scholar Jessica Ng and 2 graduate workers are accused of using chalk and erasable markers to write protest messages outside the Scripps Institution of Oceanography several weeks ago. They claim the UC has refused to implement their new contracts ratified last December. UC officials say they caused $12,000 in damage. Union members called the arrests retaliation.
We have the right to have freedom of speech and freedom of protest, freedom of assembly. And this even gets to the point that they arrested people, they charged people with felonies, but hold up, they didn't actually charge people.
The scheduled arraignments here at the county courthouse were called off unexpectedly. More than 600 faculty, alumni, and community members signed a petition sent to San Diego District Attorney Summer Stephan this morning, calling on her to dismiss the charges. Meanwhile, representatives with the district attorney's office say the arraignments did not go forward today because the case has not been referred to their office. They then referred us to UC San Diego Police. A university spokesperson confirmed the UC police investigation is ongoing and also said UC San Diego does not tolerate vandalism or other damage to campus property. The drumbeat of support for the protesting union members is growing to include many more faculty members.
Is the DA office going to help us make sure workers actually get their wages, or is she going to go after workers who are asking for their wages? This is a question the whole county should care about.
These charges are meant to intimidate and isolate, not just 3 people, but every person who dares to stand up for themselves and their fellow workers.
No word yet on when or if Ng and her 2 colleagues will be charged and face the arraignments they had expected today. MG Perez, KPBS News.
An affordable housing project under construction in El Cerrito is getting ready to become homes for people who were formerly homeless. With numbers of unsheltered residents increasing in the county, KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman shows us how developers are working to get the project done quickly.
These shipping containers used to move products across the ocean, and soon they'll have a new life as affordable housing. We're here in the 1-bedroom unit, and I guess what would be the dining room area. It really doesn't feel like you're inside of a big shipping container. It's actually 3 of them put together, and behind me here is the kitchen area. And as you go down the hallway here, you have a full bathroom here, and then to my right here is the bedroom. And the idea with this space is that at least 40 or so units will be opened by the end of this year.
Our hope is December, so right around the holidays.
Jennifer Hart-Dietz is CEO of People Assisting the Homeless, or PATH. The nonprofit is the developer at this site. She says prefabricated housing isn't cheaper than traditional builds, but it has one major bonus.
Where the money might be the same, what you really gain is that you're gaining that time, which saves lives. We need to get more units online as fast as possible.
The complex is being built on top of a family health center's clinic, so access to medical and behavioral health care is nearby. Formerly unhoused residents will also have on-site access to services. That includes case management, living skills, and education and employment services.
Most of the folks moving in are what's considered low income, so they're likely not going to pay more than $300, if that. It really is based on their income level.
We need housing, period.
San Diego City Council President Sean-Elo Rivera says some people living nearby were concerned about formerly homeless residents moving into the neighborhood, but he hopes that's changing.
Housing solves homelessness. This is housing. If folks are concerned about the homelessness that they see on the streets, they should be supportive of projects like this.
Elo Rivera says expanding housing using prefabricated units could become cheaper once more developments are underway.
And I think it's an innovative model, and given the housing crisis in California and in San Diego, we need to be looking at every possible option for how we can create more housing faster.
PATH officials say it's running about 6 months behind schedule due to some supply chain issues. But all the shipping containers for the first phase will be in place soon. They're stacked on top of each other, almost like Legos, and inside them, nearly everything is already done.
The finished plumbing, the finished electrical, cabinetry, toilets. Basically, when the units are delivered to site, They're about 95 to 99% complete.
Phase 2 of the project will see an additional 131 units. Those will also be for formerly unhoused residents and other low-income San Diegans. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
A bill enacted last year expanded veterans' health care benefits to include conditions connected to toxins many veterans were exposed to while serving. 2 clinics in Chula Vista and Oceanside aim to get veterans enrolled in those benefits quickly. KPBS military reporter Andrew Dyer has more.
The number of health conditions connected to toxin exposure for service members was expanded with the signing of the PACT Act by President Joe Biden last August. For years, veterans sought care and compensation for illnesses connected to their years of service. Everything from Agent Orange in the Vietnam War to respiratory problems connected to burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Everything is being considered, so there's not a list that says, no, this isn't going to be considered.
Frank Pearson is the CEO and executive director of the VA San Diego Health System. He says VA benefits personnel will be on hand at 2 summer vet fests in Chula Vista and Oceanside to help veterans find out if they qualify for new PACT Act benefits.
And at this point, there are presumptive diagnoses. So if you served in certain areas that are known to have had certain exposures, then you're going to be interviewed and witnessed, and there's going to be a review of your information, and then there'll be assessment.
The Oceanside Vet Fest will be Saturday, July 15th at the Oceanside VA Clinic, followed by another August 5th at the Chula Vista Vet Center. While veterans can submit claims for illnesses identified by the PACT Act at any time, those who submit those claims by August 9th will have any awarded disability benefits backdated to August of 2022. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
Lawmakers are raising the alarm over a popular energy drink. It has 6 times the caffeine of a can of Coke and poses a health risk to kids and teens. Gloria Pazmino reports.
It's one of the hottest trends of the summer. Now, the influencer-created energy drink Prime is facing growing scrutiny.
This is an eye-popping level of caffeine for a young kid's body.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is calling on the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to investigate the product. Prime energy drinks contain more than double the caffeine of a can of Red Bull and 6 times more caffeine than a can of Coca-Cola.
The amount of caffeine in these drinks can give children and teens headaches. It can give them jitters, nervousness. It can interfere with the sleep cycle, which is so important to the developing brain.
According to its website, the company does not recommend the energy drinks for anyone under the age of 18. Still, Schumer claims the company is targeting children through social media.
Kids see it on their phones as they scroll, and then they actually have a need for it.
The company also sells a caffeine-free drink called Prime Hydration, but there are concerns the branding between the 2 products are too similar.
Because the product is billed as a hydration and sports drink in its other near identical form, kids are likely to ingest cans of this stuff with the parents being unaware.
I'm Gloria Pasmino reporting.
California law says that when a person with visible injuries shows up at a hospital and domestic violence is suspected, medical staff must notify police. But a proposed bill would leave the decision to contact police to the victim. KPBS freelance reporter J.W. August and Amita Sharma bring us the story. And a warning, this story contains disturbing images of domestic abuse.
We're going to take care of it. Come on.
Video from a San Diego police body camera in 2018 captured Isabel Rosales running from her home. She'd been stabbed and had her throat slashed.
And I just started screaming for help. I started screaming that my kids are in my house. I started screaming his name.
The name she screamed is David Espinoza, her husband at the time. This scene played out on a street in Old Town San Diego. Espinoza attacked her as she tried to escape through a screen door while her 3 children watched.
I remember seeing my girls jump up from their bed and my son was laying down right in front of me, and the blood splashed on his bed, and he pulled me, but he had this look, like an evil look.
Experts say the most dangerous time for domestic violence victims is when they try to end the relationship with the abuser. Isabel ended up in a UCSD emergency room. The physician, suspecting domestic violence after treating her, contacted police as mandated by law.
All I wanted to know was that my kids were unharmed, that they were okay, they made it out the house, and he was going to go away.
He did go away, pleading guilty and sentenced to 23 years in prison for attempted murder and spousal rape. In Isabel's case, mandated reporting for suspected abuse worked exactly as the law intended. But Tina McKinner, a Democratic Assemblywoman from Los Angeles County, has proposed a bill to change the law. The bill is supported by more than 60 activist groups.
This makes them safer.
McKinner and other supporters of the bill, AB 1028, say mandated reporting infringes on the autonomy of potential domestic violence victims and increases the dangers they face. Her proposed legislation would leave it up to victims to decide whether police are called.
If the victim wants to press charges or call the police, they're still able to do that. They can ask the doctor at that time to please call the police. This just puts the control in the victim's hands.
McKinner argues diminishing the role of police in these cases will encourage more domestic violence victims to seek help. A hospital would be expected to provide phone numbers to victims for services, nothing more. No police, no healthcare professionals would be required to get involved. This is a mistake, says Hillary Larkin, a physician's assistant and legislative director for the California Sexual Assault Examiners Association.
We are boots on the ground, so we are seeing patients in healthcare settings and documenting injuries.
Larkin works in one of 48 healthcare teams across California who do as many as 14,000 exams on trauma patients each year. She says the bill would reverse years of progress.
We don't consider it mandated reporting. We consider it documentation of injuries sustained by a victim of a crime.
San Diego County District Attorney Summer Steffen and San Diego City Attorney Mara Elliott also oppose the bill as written. So does former San Diego City Attorney Casey Gwinn, who prosecuted over 10,000 domestic violence cases before he left office in 2004.
And anybody thinks this bill is pro-survivor or pro-domestic violence intervention is deluding themselves.
McKinner and her supporters argue that the current reporting requirements put women of color at greater risk. They say treating domestic abuse requires a health-based approach, not a law enforcement one.
So you walk in, you seem to be, well, you're beat up, and the doctor just calls the police with no services. This is very, very dangerous for women of color and any type of minority, immigrants as well, LGBTQ folks.
In 2002, Gwynn started the Family Justice Center to protect victims in San Diego. It links abuse victims with legal, medical, and social services. There are now over 140 similar centers across the globe. Gwynn says McKinner's bill would have unintended consequences.
There will be absolutely no reporting in those cases where the victim is too terrified to report to police.
The new bill would continue to require reporting to law enforcement, quote, where the injury is by means of a firearm. Larkin says that's not enough. All violence should be reported.
Not just gunshot wounds, stab wounds, strangulation, run over by a car, beaten with a hammer, all these things I've seen in my practice within the last 6 months.
AB 1028 has cleared the state assembly and goes before the California Senate's Public Safety Committee on Tuesday. Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
And KPBS freelance reporter J.W. August reported and wrote this story. San Diego wants to crack down on companies that dig up city streets without properly fixing them. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen has the story.
You've probably seen it before. A small section of the street gets dug up for some kind of construction or utility project, but the repair job isn't very thorough, and that section of the pavement sinks down. If the underlying soil is disturbed, even a small excavation can cause cracks or potholes in other parts of the street.
I think we all experience that nothing is more frustrating to our constituents when they see a nicely repaved street, even if it's just within recent years, get torn up and then improperly restored, or when a temporary trench gets left for months and months on end, where they think that's actually become the new normal.
The council on Monday approved an update to the city's street preservation ordinance. It increases the fees charged to companies that dig into the public right-of-way, and it expands the area they have to repair once their work is finished. The changes won unanimous approval, though some on the council fear the city needs more staffing to enforce the new rules.
For us to be in the position to pass the ordinance and not necessarily have the backup staff it is concerning for me, and I just want to be able to manage the expectations of the public.
The updated ordinance and higher fees go into effect on January 1st of next year. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
A summer construction camp for girls hopes to draw more women to enter the male-dominated field. The National Association of Women in Construction is holding the camp in Lakeside. The camp is free. For 12 weeks, around 100 girls from grades 8 through 12 learn how to do trade projects from industry leaders. Those include carpentry, electrical wiring, and plumbing.
Also teaches them about teamwork, leadership, how to speak in front of people.
It's like always just important to experience new things. You never know, it may be your path in life.
The NAWIC started the camp 15 years ago, and the first year there were just 20 campers. Now there are over 100 with a waiting list. Historic flooding in the Northeast has caused at least one death and tens of millions of dollars in property loss. As Laura Aguirre reports, both water levels and damage estimates are expected to keep rising.
This is the new normal. New York State back in the epicenter of extreme weather, just days after savage July 4th storms. The governor there mobilizing resources and declaring a state of emergency in Orange County, where one woman died after being swept away by fast-moving floodwaters. In West Point, New York, many roads have turned into rivers, with rainfall levels there being called once in a millennium. Forecasters predict up to 2 inches per hour could fall in some areas through Monday.
This is devastating. This used to be a stream, and now it's a roaring river.
Many residents in New Hampshire and Vermont can only watch helplessly as rushing water ravages property.
It's not just the initial damage, it's the wave, the second wave, and the third wave, and we're trying to anticipate that.
But I just watched my car just swim away.
In Reading, Pennsylvania, a daily rainfall record set in 1952 was shattered by 1.5 inches, and millions of people remain under severe weather alerts in the region through Tuesday morning. New York's governor blames a broader issue for the floods and says all levels of government must work together to address it.
How we can stand up and using every bit of our power, mobilizing to fight the ravages of climate change, because again, these are unprecedented weather events that keep hitting us over and over and over again.
I'm Laura Aguirre for KPBS News.
Something we'll all have in common the next few days will be staying storm-free, but there's a bit of a disparity in the temperature department. The coast, yeah, that's where the comfort will be, although it will come with some of that low cloud and fog action to start the day. Inland, though, it will be a full-blown triple-digit takeover as we go through the next few days with excessive heat that continues to build. We already have excessive heat warnings posted for all inland locations, especially those inland deserts where hundreds will be running wild later this week. Heat advisories, too, for these counties highlighted in that orange color. Overnight tonight, still not too bad. Lows generally in the 50s to around 60 once you get close to the coast, although Borrego Springs will be holding around 80 degrees overnight. During the day tomorrow, a lot of sunshine, and it's warm sunshine. Around 80 near the coast, 90s just inland, and then beginning to flirt with triple digits once you get into the desert locations. As far as any clouds go, again, it'll be confined to coastal sections, some of that low cloud and some fog activity to start off the day on Tuesday. You'd have to hop on I-10 and go really far east to find any appreciable cloud cover or any showers and thunderstorms. That's limited to basically eastern Arizona. Close to home here, it is high and dry, and it's hot. So at the coast over the next few days, 79 to 82 will do it on the high side. Generally speaking, a lot of sunshine, although starting some of these days with some low clouds and fog. Overnight lows will be around 60. Inland, it's 90s, low 90s with a lot of sunshine. and no real risk for any sort of rain. Similar story in the mountain towns. Generally speaking, we'll be in the mid-70s, so it will be more comfortable here. Still no, any threat of rain is going to remain elusive. And then as we head into the deserts, that's where the heat is really on. Blazing sunshine, temperatures starting off around 105 to 107 the next couple of days. And then by the end of this period, ending up by 111 as we get into the weekend. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Ben Reppert.
And here's another look at today's top stories. Fallbrook and Rainbow are allowed to leave the San Diego County Water Authority. That was the decision today from the San Diego Local Agency Formation Commission. Fallbrook and Rainbow wanted to leave to get cheaper water from Riverside County's Eastern Municipal Water District. The Water Authority warns that this may cost San Diegans nearly $200 million over a decade. Residents in Fallbrook and Rainbow will still need to vote to approve the detachment. Arraignments for 3 UC San Diego student workers scheduled for today were unexpectedly called off. The students face felony conspiracy and vandalism charges. They were arrested last month in what they call retaliation by the university over a labor contract dispute. UC officials say the students caused $12,000 in damage using chalk and erasable markers during a recent protest. The district attorney's office says UC officials still have not referred the charges for review. And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. A New York cannabis company is marketing its products to older people. On NPR's Morning Edition, what recreational users of a certain age should be particularly cautious about. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.